So it is Sunday, the 8th of July. Just had a little chat with the SPVM as a result of a rather foolish, belligerent Montreal Unitarian accusing me of harassment when in fact she had initiated harassment of me by grabbing my picket signs, essentially seemingly trying to confiscate my picket signs, claiming that I had no right to have them on church property, and I made it very clear that no, it's not church property. 3 feet back from the sidewalk is city property. You can see the fire hydrant. I'm pretty sure the fire hydrant and the lamppost are on city property, and my signs are in front of them. So this misinformed Montreal Unitarian claimed that she had spoken to the police and that they had told her that it was private property and that I couldn't have my signs here. So that was part of her thing. And instead of calling the police and having them deal with the situation, she decided to engage in what's known as vigilante justice and grabbed my picket signs and essentially confiscated them, threw them into the bike lane here, obstructing the bike lane. And she spit in my lens, amongst other things. Basically just being a general asshole. She called the police. Police showed up. We had a chat. I explained everything to them from my point of view. I have to say that I was a bit annoyed that essentially both officers suggested that I was actually, doing things illegal. The male officer who I spoke with directly suggested that some of what I'm saying is libel diffamatoire, so defamatory libel, which, I don't think it is at all, because what I'm saying is very truthful and supported by evidence. There's nothing libelous in the traditional sense of the word. And then the female officer, essentially tried to pretend that my protest was harassment, like basically, maybe it is, maybe peaceful public protest is a low-level form of harassment, but if it is, it's a legal form of harassment. So I don't mind arguing that point in court if they want to call it harassment, but it's harassment that's protected by the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. That's an interesting legal argument we can make, because as far as I'm concerned, my protest is one of the most peaceful you're likely to find. I basically just walk back and forth with picket signs, have some chalk slogans. Admittedly, the slogans, some of them are pretty hard-hitting, but they're also very truthful. There's nothing untruthful in my slogans. So, that's protest is protest. I mean, basically it's not supposed to make people who you're protesting against feel all warm and fuzzy inside. It's supposed to do the opposite. So another police car going by here. Doesn't look like it's the same crew. So anyhow, we'll just continue to circulate. So I noticed it was just a bit after 10:30 when I finished up with the police, and I just had a little discussion with a passerby who gave me a fist bump, by the way, for my protest. So come and witness. I'm just warning you, my camera's running, so be careful what you say. So my camera's running, so be careful what you say.
It's okay, it's okay.
Just had a little chat with the cops.
Those fuckers.
Actually, they were a bit annoying today, actually. They were saying that my protest is harassment. It's like, we can argue that in court.
Yeah, I can definitely argue that.
Anyhow, yeah, so this is my Sunday ritual, my way of going to church.
I can imagine. Gotta draw a line somewhere,
Yeah, exactly, I think so.
Draw a line.
Catch you later. That's a neighbor of mine walking by. So I think it's the first time he's witnessed my protest, or at least first time he's, I've been noticed that he's coming by here. So anyhow, so yes, as I was mentioning to him, 2 SPVM police officers came as a result of what I consider to be a bullshit complaint to the police by one of the attendees of the Unitarian Church of Montreal. I'm not sure if she's a card-carrying member of the Unitarian Church of Montreal, but she was basically accusing me of harassing her, when in fact she initiated harassment by grabbing my picket signs and so on, really getting in my face. You know, I was basically just responding to her own stupidity. She spit in my lens, amongst other things. She shoved her face into the camera, and then she tried to pretend that I shoved my camera in her face. Typical bullshit from Montreal Unitarians. Anyhow, the police came, and you know, we had what I call a philosophical discussion about, you know, the issues and the rights involved and so on and so forth. But I found it bothersome that both of these police officers, quite young ones I will say, look to be in like late 20s, early 30s. The male officer suggested that, you know, some of what I'm saying is defamatory libel, which it absolutely is not in my opinion, since everything is very, very truthful and supported by evidence. And then the female police officer later said that my peaceful public protest was harassment. So, and apparently she's saying that a harassment case is being built against me above and beyond the criminal harassment case or charge that Sue Montgomery managed to bring against me. So that's interesting news. I'm not surprised to hear it. And I'm not 100% sure that it's actually true. I'll definitely look into that. Yeah, so basically Montreal Unitarians still trying to misuse the SPVM police force to shut down a protest which is against, amongst other serious problems with the Unitarian Universalist religious community, the cover-up and denial of sexual abuse of children by Unitarian Universalist ministers and Unitarian Universalist Sunday school teachers and the occasional Unitarian Universalist layperson. So a very legitimate protest against not only sexual abuse of children, but the cover-up and denial of sexual abuse of children by the Unitarian Universalist religious community. And yet, Montreal Unitarians are trying to shut me down, claiming it's harassment. Well, we'll see about that. But I do not believe that what is basically one of the more peaceful public protests, you know, just one man, some picket signs, some chalk slogans, generally relatively quiet. Don't have a megaphone, not shouting slogans here. You know, that this could be construed as some kind of criminal harassment. But they're welcome to try. I wouldn't mind at all defending myself against such an accusation. And in fact, I'm defending myself against Sue Montgomery's ridiculous criminal harassment accusation, which I think the Crown was rather foolish to proceed on, in my view. I really think that a Crown prosecutor who did his or her homework would have realized that there's really no case, there's really no chance of obtaining a conviction for criminal harassment for my public criticism of Sue Montgomery for her complicity in Unitarian Universalist clergy abuse, cover-up and denial, and indeed her hands-on participation in some of it. So yeah, we'll see. I really don't mind at all hashing these issues out in a court of law. It's a good way to get to the actual truth with some sworn testimony on my side, but also on the side of Montreal Unitarians. It'd be very interesting what they would say under oath in a court of law about my alleged harassment of Montreal Unitarians. Could get very interesting. So, I did have sensor overheating problems. Camera did in fact shut off once or twice. Okay, so far so good. But I think we're going to wrap this up soon. It's 11:15 now. I normally wrap up at 11 anyway. But I think, okay, I know what I'm going to do. I think I'll stay for maybe 10 more minutes, and then I'm going to call it a day. And basically upload the video, I think. This is interesting what happened today. You know, another confrontation initiated by a belligerent Montreal Unitarian, and then another bullshit complaint to the SPVM about alleged harassment on my part. I think anyone who views the video will see that you missed all the fun.
Can't tell me about it.
You can watch the video.
Yeah.
So this woman who I think you might have seen with the gray hair got in my face a couple of times before. She got in my face again, taking my picket signs, saying they can't be there, saying it's illegal, saying she talked to the police and it's not legal. But she's confiscating them, like she's taking them. And I'm saying, don't do that, don't touch my picket signs and so on. And then she spits in my camera. Oh, that's perfect for me. It's like, hey, if you want to do that, if you want to look like an idiot on YouTube. But she calls the police. I said, call the police. Like, the police can deal with this. So guess who's still here? But the police, they didn't do anything.
They came.
They came. No, but the thing is, they actually said two things. One, the male officer that I was talking to said that he thinks some of my picket signs are libelle diffamatoire.
He said that?
Yes, he said that. And the female police officer said it's harassment, like my peaceful public protest, it's harassment. And and she said they're building a harassment case against me. In other words, not just sue, but no, but what they're talking about is like the church building a harassment case against me. So I'd say that could be fun. It'd be interesting in a court of law. What? Right. Well, actually, I was about to leave. But do you want to have a coffee or something, or? Yeah. Actually, you know what you could do though is maybe just do a couple of photos for me. Yeah, great. So I'll turn the